happy Halloween and welcome back to another expanded deck profile. Today we're going to have a spine-chilling, creepy, crawly Halloween deck, I guess, because there's nothing more horrifying than seeing a mill deck. We're going to be bringing it back classic here, one of the oldest, still relevant cards in expanded. We've got Durant here from Noble Victory, 70 HP, metal type. Main attack we're worried about is 1 metal devour for each Durant in play. Discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Now that's pretty scary. With 4 Durant in play, that means we're going to be discarding 4 cards off the top of your opponent's deck every turn. But you've probably seen Durant. There's a million people who have built Durant decks over the year. This is certainly no secret in the expanded format, nor was it a secret back in its heyday in the Harkold Silver to Noble Victories format. However, I will say that we got a little bit spookier here. We're going to be building it around some ghost-type Pokemon with this Durant, and I'd argue this deck works better than the traditional Durant variants. Give it a try, let's get right into the deck list. We play 4 copies of this Durant, obviously, for the Devour. You have to play 4 because you want to be able to get that Devour off. 1 copy of Mew here from Fates Collide. Usually Durant decks want to go more on this Mew, because what Mew does is that you can have it active, have 4 Durant on the bench, and your Memories of Dawn is then not, when you copy the attacks of your Durant in play, because it can use the attacks of your basic Pokemon in play, and you do still need the energy, what you can do is copy this Devour, and when Mew gets knocked out, you don't actually lose a Durant. We do still play 1 copy in here, because it's very good. Also has Free Retreat, which is very good, and an attack that can potentially be used in an emergency. Search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. It's got low HP, but everything in this deck does, so don't worry about that. We do still play 1 copy, but this deck needs a lot more of its spend space than other Durant variants that I've played before, so I decided to lower it down to 1 copy. 1 copy works pretty well. I do absolutely love this Mew art, by the way. Incredible artwork. So, what's the ghost type line we're going here? We're going here for the Nincada, Ninjask, and Shedinja. Shedinja being the ghost type. 3 copies of this Nincada from Dragons Exalted, another very old card in the expanded format. This is just the best Nincada we have because it has this dig attack for 1 energy, does 10, flip a coin if heads, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. So potentially if you start Nincada have absolutely nothing else, you can potentially buy a turn with dig. Fun fact in this artwork, as all the cards in Dragons Exalted are, they're based around En's Castle. In the background you can see En's Castle, the castle of Team Plasma rather, back there in the background. Very cool. 70 HP evolves into Ninjask. We only play 1 copy of this Ninjask, and this is quite a cool card. What it has here is the Wing Buzz ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you just may discard a card from your hand, and if you do, your opponent discards the top card of their deck. The attack's not relevant, so we're not talking about that. Free Retreat is definitely relevant, and 70 HP is also definitely relevant. What we use this Ninjask for is that every time our Durant gets KO'd, we're going to, or rather anything gets KO'd, we're going to remote this Ninjask, get a Wing Buzz off, discard a card from hand, and then milling 1 card from our opponent. So potentially netting up to like 5 or 6 cards a game. Usually you're going to get about 4 uses out of this Ninjask, but that is still a whole attack gained right then and there just from this ability. And it plays perfectly since we're already playing the Ninjask anyway, or the Nincadas, so you don't mind throwing this in there at all. This card is just awesome, honestly. I absolutely love it. It's been a lot of fun to make work, so just make sure you get this in the active every time you can. This deck doesn't really build around the ability, but it's just an awesome one-up to include. The main reason we're playing this line is for 3 copies of Shedinja. Incredible artwork on this one as well by Kawayu. With the Vessel of Life ability, once during your turn, you may discard all cards attached to this Pokemon and attach it to one of your Pokemon as a Pokemon tool card. When the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out, your opponent takes 1 fewer prize. We're not worried about the attack. Don't use the attack. 40 HP is also relevant. But what you can do with this is this acts like Life Dew. We do also play Life Dew, so I'm just going to talk about the, hopefully, not too bad. There we go. Good. Not gonna break. Cool. Life Dew. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out, your opponent takes 1 fewer prize card. Works as a tool card and is an A-spec, so you only play 1 in your deck, otherwise we'd absolutely run more. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to chain as many Durants as possible without giving our opponent any progress on their prize cards. And even 1 or 2 times at where we can stop our opponent from taking a prize card with the combined effects of Life Dew and the Shedinja is quite incredible. Plus, like I said, it plays into this other line with Ninjasks, so even if your opponent's like discarding your Shedinjas, it's not a huge deal. You can get them back, and you can also play into the secondary line. Just been a lot of fun playing this deck recently. One copy of Phione here with the Whirlpool section. If it's on your bench, you may have your opponent switch their active with one of their bench. If you do, discard all cards attached to this Pokemon and put it on the bottom of your deck. The attack's not relevant. 70 HP is, we can search it with our level balls, and that's why I play it in the specific list. It is very good just for providing a quick gust. A lot of times when you're playing mill decks, your opponent will try to not bench as many Pokemon as possible. Even sometimes just keeping one Pokemon in play to not play down as many cards as possible to try to prevent you from discarding them. And what you can do is if they bench 2 Pokemon, or if you force a Pokemon into play, you can Whirlpool Suction and possibly get a turn out of trapping that benched Pokemon in the active. Your opponent does get to choose, so it's not too relevant if your opponent has multiple Pokemon in play that are able to retreat, but this Phione right here is just really good, absolutely great for early game plays. Though in the late game, you're kind of going to see it as a dead tool. We have 4 copies of Juniper here. Discard your hand, draw 7, the most aggressive draw supporter in the game, so we're going to play 4 of those. We have 4 copies of Nest Ball here. Search deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench. Obviously, we can get our Durants, our Nincadas, and our Mews, as well as Phione with this, so it's quite good. Even better, though, is 4 copies of Level Ball. Search deck with 90 HP or less and reveal it. For a Pokemon with 90 HP or less. And this searches the entire deck out. Everything in our deck is less than 90 HP. That will be relevant later. I hate these pop-ups. 3 copies of Battle VIP Pass. You can only use it during your first turn. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. So you can potentially run 4 of this if you want. I cut one so I can fit a Hisuian ball. But what this does is, on your first turn, you can just get your Durants out super fast and start milling. And as well as getting Nincadas out if you're getting extra lucky. But another thing that this card does, that's kind of an unspoken thing in this deck, is that after it becomes a dead card, it is then perfect bait to discard with the Wing Buzz ability, because you have to discard a card from your hand when you use it. So this card, absolutely perfect to discard after your first turn of the game. You're not going to need it anymore. Might as well get rid of it, right? 1 copy of Hisuian Heavy Ball. Look at your race down prize cards, reveal a basic Pokemon you find there, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle Hisuian Ball back in its place. So what it does is just looking for our Durants for prize, because we need all 4 Durants in play, because Durant's Devour matters for each amount of Durant in play. And then if Durants are all, unprized, then we can go get a Nincada or Mew. So 1 copy feels pretty good. You can potentially play 2 if you're really worried about prizing. This deck doesn't have a lot of space though. 4 copies of Trainers Mail here. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, remove your trainer card you find there, except for Trainers Mail, and put it into your hand, and then shuffle the others back into your deck. Just allows us to get really consistent. Absolutely worth playing 4 copies because we just want to burn through the deck. I'm sorry the image isn't loading well. Just want to run through our deck as fast as possible and find the cards we need. There's lots of trainer cards, so it's definitely relevant. 4 copies of Random Receiver. Reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal supporter, put it into your hand, and then shuffle the other cards back. You'll see we only play 4 supporters, and we don't play any Versus Seeker. That is intentional by design. So we play 4 Random Receiver just to find those Junipers more often, so we don't get bricked in the early game. Trainers Mail and Random Receiver usually combo pretty well to make sure we have a Juniper when we need it. Realistically, you just want to be Junipering over and over and over again. 2 copies of Professor's Letter. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy, reveal them, put them into your hand. You want to find those medals to get attached to your Durant, because if you're whiffing attacks, you're whiffing the game. So you want to have a Durant with an energy on it every turn, or a Mew with an energy on it every turn, doing your devouring. 2 copies of Counter Catcher here. You can only play it if your opponent has more prize cards remaining than you, or yeah, if your opponent has more, if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. I said that backwards. Switch one of your opponent's bench with their active. This gives you a free, solid, 100% guaranteed gust if you are behind on prizes, which this deck is always going to be, considering it does not take prizes. And to combine with that, we have 2 copies of Echoing Horn. You can also play Target Whistle if you have that same effect. Put a basic Pokemon from your opponent's discard pile onto their bench. So what we're going to try to combo this with, unless our opponent just does the job for us and just puts down a bunch of dead Pokemon, we're going to Echoing Horn a discarded Pokemon onto their bench, which they're going to be discarded, obviously, off of our Durant milling them. And then we're going to Counter Catcher that Pokemon up, hopefully buying us a turn by trapping the opponent with an inoptimal Pokemon in the active spot. We play 2-2 because we always want to get that combo off, and potentially getting it off a second time can be game winning. 2 copies of Super Rod here. Shuffle 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy from your discard pile back into your deck. So it just allows us to have consistent recovery and not deck out, because a lot of times you're going to be Junipering into like the bottom 10 cards of your deck just to find those pieces to keep up the combo with the Shedinja, because you're just going to want to keep on comboing the Shedinja over and over again. Super Rod allows us to get back Durants, allows us to get back energies, very important things, as well as getting back the Ninjask Shedinja line. So absolutely awesome. 2 copies feels pretty good. 2 copies of Energy Retrieval. Put 2 basic energy from Mr. Pile into your hand. Just allows you to get back your energy specifically. Super Rod is great and all, but sometimes we need those energy back right now so we can attach them to a Durant. That's what Energy Retrieval is for. If you potentially want to play a different kind of Energy Retrieval card, one you could also play is Energy Recycle System. It really depends on the person you are. I just like Energy Retrieval, but if you want to give yourself more options, there is Energy Recycle System from Celestial Storm, which puts a basic energy from your pile into your hand or shuffles 3 into your deck. So you get a little bit of a choice there. And because you only ever need one to attack anyway, it can sometimes be beneficial. I just like having the option to get 2. 4 copies of Rescue Carrier. Put up to 2 Pokemon, each with 90 HP or less, from your discard pile into your hand. Notice how everything in our deck has 90 HP or less. That's pretty big. So what we can do is continually get our Durants back and get back the Shedinja line, so that we can continually just throw Durants that do not give up prizes at our opponent. It's just an awesome combo, and Rescue Carrier is really what the glue that sticks it together and makes it consistent. 2 copies of Cursed Shovel. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from our opponent's deck, discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Usually in these kind of mill decks, you'd see this as a 4 because it's an absolutely incredible card. And it still is great, so we play 2 copies of it. However, we're more relying on the tool card being Shedinja. Obviously, it attaches itself as a tool card, so you can't have Cursed Shovel when Shedinja is attached to a Pokemon. So Cursed Shovel is going to go on Pokemon when you don't have a Shedinja on that Pokemon. Sometimes you just can't always get Shedinja, especially like turn 1s. You can just throw up a Durant with a Cursed Shovel attached, and that's pretty good. Obviously, we covered the 1 copy of Life Dew, and we have 6 copies of Metal Energy, just enough to attack, but not too much to clog up the deck. Sometimes this deck can struggle with early game consistency because of only being 4 supporters, but this deck is really a lot of fun. I'd even wager it's better than the other Durant variants that you'll find on the ladder. With Durant NVI, like Durant NVI Mew with Cursed Shovels and Life Dews and Lana's Fishing Rod. It just feels a lot less consistent. This one is super straightforward and super powerful. So give it a try, give your opponent some shivers down their spine, and maybe just give them the creepy crawlies with this Durant being a creepy crawly itself. So if you enjoyed this video, thanks for checking it out. Check out my other expanded deck profiles. I do lots of them every single week. And if you like tabletop retro gameplay, I do that every once in a while too, so check those out as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.